Far, far away in Alaska, on the most northern shores in the United States, where seals, polar bears, and other wildlife are common sights, lies Barrow. This is our home, 330 miles above the Arctic Circle and just 1,100 miles from the North Pole. For centuries, people have survived in this harsh, at times very cruel environment. With few resources but lots of resourcefulness, our ancestors managed to provide food and shelter for their families without the benefit of farms, ranches, or gardens. We people have always known hardship, but also happiness and love. When non-natives arrived in our land, they called us Eskimo, but we are the Inuit people of the world's polar regions. In Alaska, we are Inupiaq. Our native language is Inupiaq.
Barrow is the seat of government for the North Slope Borough, which was founded in 1972. Geographically, the North Slope Borough is the largest municipality in the world, covering a staggering 89,000 square miles of Arctic territory, including the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, often called ANWR. Many of America's lower 48 states would fit inside the boundaries of the North Slope Borough, yet only 8 small villages dot the North Slope landscape. Barrow is by far the largest community within the North Slope Borough, with a population of about 5,000 people. Some of the other villages are home to fewer than a dozen families. So much has changed as Barrow and the North Slope Borough successfully melded into a modern world that included a cash economy and participation in world politics. We took on the challenges and learned very quickly how to survive and thrive in the global village, but our history surrounds us and lies within us.
These days, our community welcomes visitors from many nations and is home to people of all races and backgrounds that learn about our Inupiaq way of life. But the heart of Barrow is Inupiaq, and this is our tale to tell.
Until commercial whalers and missionaries arrived in the 1800s, Inupiaq were nomadic. When our ancestors traveled, they built temporary snow houses, what outsiders know as igloos. In Inupiaq, the word igloo does not mean ice house. It simply means a dwelling. When our people began to settle in Barrow because of the establishment of the Barrow Whaling Station on the site of Barrow called Browerville, followed by the Inupiaq Presbyterian Church, our relatives built semi-subterranean dwellings made of sod, whale bones, and driftwood, and heated these homes with seal oil lamps. Before we had heat for natural gas and electricity, the old igloos were much warmer than the wood frame houses that uninformed yet confident missionaries and U.S. government officials urged us to use instead.
In the summer, remains of some of the old-time igloos can be found on the bluff at the western edge of Barrow, past a Welcome to Barrow sign. In our language, Pakalagifsi means we welcome you all. Choosing hunting areas as the ice and land conditions change through the year, the Inupiaq have always depended on whales, walrus, polar bears, caribou, seals, Arctic fox, fish, and in Barrow in particular, snowy owls. Along with ducks, geese, and the approximately 185 other species of birds that nest on the tundra that's sparkling wet in the spring, the large snowy owls have always been important food for us. In fact, Barrow's Inupiaq name is Ukpiaqavik, which means the place where we hunt snowy owls. Besides meat and all the other parts of the animals we use, we have also subsisted on and continue to enjoy our native plants. No trees grow above the Arctic Circle, so we harvest edible and medicinal plants that grow on small willows or on the tundra during the brief summers. In the old days, our great-grandparents and grandparents used various types of North Slope vegetation to stretch food supplies by storing edible berries and plants along with medicinal plants for later use. Other plants were also used to build temporary shelters, to make dyes for our clothes, to line leather baby diapers, and to supplement meat stocks to feed our dogs.
So many of our ancient traditions remain unchanged, but with the formation of the North Slope Borough and the influx of tax money from oil production, our community leaders and government officials were able to build medical facilities, utilities, good housing, police and fire stations, and good schools for all grade levels, which greatly improved living conditions across the North Slope. Before we had our own schools, our children had to go away to boarding schools hundreds, sometimes even thousands of miles away. Often our children were physically punished for speaking their own language, even when school was not in session. That was very hard on our kids and communities. With the vision of our community leaders, in just a few decades we built good schools in every village and founded Inupiaq College, an accredited higher education firm which is also recognized as the first tribal college in Alaska. The word Inupiaq means place to learn.
Hi.
We're proud that today we teach our children Inupiaq and English, and that we have very modern health care and other services that include banking, postal and freight services, KBRW AM/FM radio, video conferencing, television delivered via cable and satellite, and high-speed internet access.
Inupiaq Eco Project, education through cultural and historical organizations through the North Slope Borough.
When our grandparents were young, dog teams still were critical for transportation. Nowadays, we use cars on our mostly gravel roads in or near Barrow, and snowmobiles or ATVs to go hunting outside the village. Commercial jets and small aircraft transport people and supplies to Barrow and to the outlying villages. When the sea ice is away from shore during the summer, supplies, even prefabricated building components, arrive on barges. One of the most important and challenging achievements on the North Slope was the development of Barrow Utilities and Electric Cooperative, or BUSI, which provides drinking water, electricity, natural gas, and sewage services that most other Americans take for granted.
Our utilidor is the means in which we transport and distribute water to the community that has services to homes and businesses, and also the means to collect wastewater from those homes and residences and businesses and transport it to the wastewater treatment system out near the landfill. It is rather unique. It is a system that is buried in permafrost. 3.3 miles of it is a walk-through utilidor. Its design was intended to allow it to meld properly with the permafrost so that it does not deteriorate the permafrost.
Well, welcome to the BARROW utilidor system, the walk-through portion. We have the 2x6s, the trapezoid tunnel, if you will, with all the associated piping, lighting, systems monitoring. As we look down here, you'll see it takes a turn and goes out, and we have 3.3 miles of this type of distribution in Barrow and some in Browardville as well. It's over 22 years old, I believe, by now, and this portion of the water distribution and wastewater collection has worked very well for the community. We have very few trouble calls with the system, and the design of its placement into the permafrost is so far been a good design. Not much movement in the system. It does have some infiltration. You see some water on the floor here. We take care of that. We will scoop it up and take it out. And we see more of that, of course, in the spring and in the summer. And then as we get into winter, we don't see very much of that at all. So we're about 12 to 18 feet here below the surface, and it certainly, I think, is unique for the northern regions of the world.
BUSI accomplished and continues to maintain and improve the utilidor, an amazing feat of engineering in and above the Arctic permafrost. Schools, offices, stores, churches, restaurants, hotels, and homes connected to the utility are nice and warm inside.
Teachers, doctors, nurses, veterinarians, scientists, and employees of all types work in buildings with modern conveniences, including standard bathrooms and lots of technology. Being so far away from the rest of the world, actually 400 miles from the nearest road, the people of Barrow and the North Slope very quickly adopted and even developed new technologies that improved education, healthcare, and made it possible to easily communicate and do business with people at other points on the globe. And we've done so much more. Not too long ago, the Alaska State Legislature officially proclaimed Barrow Alaska's Arctic Science City. As the farthest north city in the United States, Barrow is a key location for Arctic studies of all kinds. In the past, explorers from other places would come to the North Slope and do things like carry off the bones of our ancestors. Today, non-native and Inupiaq scientists, archaeologists, and historians respectfully work side by side in world-class facilities to study and protect the fragile Arctic environment and preserve the heritage of the Inupiaq.
Because there are no mountains or trees here, and because the Chukchi and Beaufort Seas that meet at Point Barrow 3 miles from town freeze up in the winter, often it can be hard to know for sure what is land, sea, or sky, especially when you're away from the lights of Barrow. Everything can look very much the same in winter, because weather can change quickly, no matter the season. Newcomers should leave word of their travel plans, even for a quick trip outside town in the summer, to look for the many birds that hatch and raise their young on the tundra. Barrow even has a birding station at Pepe's north of the border restaurant. Although tempting, going out on the sea ice is extremely treacherous. Newcomers should never go out on the ice alone. Go only with local guides. These are most serious words of caution. North Slope Barrow Search and Rescue, along with the trained volunteers, are called out on emergencies to save lives. Their job has been made easier by the use of advanced technologies and equipment, including a small medevac plane, helicopters, boats, ATVs, and snow machines.
We have the PLBs that are personal locator beacons that they can sign out here. That helps us minimize our search time. People that are invested in GPS, that are travelers and hunters, that makes it a heck of a lot easier for us. It's less time consuming, and if in case of emergency, we can get there as quickly as possible by ourselves or through the helicopters.
We have gone through quite a few technology as we went along back from the years that we started. We didn't have computers, we didn't have communications that we got now. It does minimize our time search and pinpoint the location of the people that we might be looking for.
Like anywhere else, some workers have to tough it out on the job in the cold. Of course, cold here, especially during winter, means dangerous cold. For sure, you've got to be tough to work outside during Arctic winters, but our people have survived in this environment for thousands of years. We know how to dress properly, and we know how to travel on sea ice and across terrain that does not have landmarks outsiders would recognize. Aided by modern technology, our public works, utility, and transportation workers dress for the job and get out there and do it. That goes for construction workers too. Every house or building must be built so that most of the heat from the structure remains off the ground. To do that, various aspects of construction have to be done from spring into summer, others in winter, so as not to melt the permafrost.
From a distance, in the dark of night or in the twilight of winter and late summer, the lights of Barrow sparkle like diamonds on display on the edge of the world. Visitors are always surprised to learn how much goes on in our village all year round. Like farmers who plan their lives around the planting and harvest of crops, we have always kept time to the seasons of the whale. Much of each year is spent preparing for whaling season and the hunts we do under the careful watch and guidance of the Alaska Eskimo Whaling Commission and the Barrow Whaling Captains Association, in accordance with international agreements on subsistence whaling. In the spring and fall, The migration path of bowhead whales take them near Barrow and the other whaling villages of the North Slope. In small boats made from the large skins of ugruk or buried seals, very brave crews go out on the beavered sea to hunt for the whole community. For spring hunts, when ice is present, skin boats that have been bleached by the sun for camouflage are more quiet and flexible than metal boats.
Could you see him good?
The name of a skin whaling boat is Umiaq. Skins are thawed, spread out, and scraped, and then cut to fit a skin boat. Women sew the skins together by hand, using special stitches to make the boat waterproof. When the skins are sewn and ready, a crew will lift the skins, now a boat cover, onto the frame. They secure the umiaq cover with ropes before setting the boat outside to dry and cure in the weeks before the hunt.
Whaling is ritual ages old and is at the center of our culture. Whaling crew members and helpers from the community must break trail on the sea ice to make it possible to travel with gear to the open ice. Shore-fast ice can extend from the beach for many miles. Next to open spaces in the sea ice called uiniq or leads, whaling crew members keep track of the current and wind and watch for polar bears as the hunters set up for camp. Then the wait for passing bowhead whales begins. Many people who visit Barrow in the spring want to go out on the ice during the hunt, but it is extremely dangerous. Only experienced crews, scientists, and community members go out on the ice. Sometimes media people will go out, but they always get permission first from a whaling captain or from the Barrow Whaling Captains Association and never go alone.
My heart's beating so fast that I thought there were people running up behind us, but it was my heartbeat.
When a whale is caught, many experienced people in the community drop what they are doing and go out on the ice to help. Using ropes and pulleys, we are able to pull a whale, which might weigh several tons, out of the water onto the ice. Shares of the whale are carefully divided according to ancient custom and are distributed to the crews and their families, including the elders who depend on the young for traditional foods. In our culture, we respect our elders and take care of them.
The end of a successful whaling season is a time of celebration when crews share food with the whole community at Nalukatak festivals. At the Nalukatak feast, everyone gathers to receive part of the successful harvest and give thanks for the ancient traditions that connect us to the land and the sea. The wives of the whaling captains, with help from others in the community, spend days, even weeks, preparing whale meat, maktak, and delicacies made the same way they have been prepared for thousands of years. To preserve the meat, much of it is stored in the same ice cellars that local families dug into the permafrost generations ago. Some of the meat is saved for holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas. Nalukotak means blanket toss, and the blanket is made with a covering from an umiak.
Hi. Say hi, Sue. Yeah, Kyrie! Run! Go ahead!
As spring whaling season comes upon us, so does the sun. In early May, the sun rises and floats above the horizon for 84 days in a row. After the solstice on June 21st, we start losing several minutes of daylight every day until the middle of November, when the sun sleeps below the horizon until the middle of January. During daytime hours, ribbons of twilight create a brief glow over Barrow and reveal people playing outside even in winter, when the temperature can drop far below freezing. The mean winter winds can make it risky to expose skin, which is why most Barrow residents use traditional lined parkas made of animal skins and fur that more effectively protect humans than do man-made materials.
If you're used to it, then do it that way. It's good. Yeah. Took me a while because I like to take my time, other than doing it sloppy. I like to sew just the way I sew to myself, to other people. Because I don't like to say, they won't know if I do it sloppier. I like to sew just the way I sew to myself, to be my own stuff, and just the way, it's the same thing, do the same to other people when I have to sew for them. This is calfskin and wolverine. There's about 8 different kinds of things in these mittens that I had made. With the other side over there, it was all one wolf head, made of calfskin, wolf leg, polar bear, mouton, shearling mouton for the lining, leather, and to just add it, I put a piece of sealskin. This is all fur. I don't like to put any fake fur, because on fake furs, the wind goes through when there's no better topping. The wind goes through, and these are okay. I had other people that want to buy them, but I always tell them that I had made them for myself. That's it. So that will be dirty. We're not
I suppose. And it's a chip.
During indoor time, we enjoy storytelling, games, dances, festivals, and other events in schools, community churches, and in facilities operated by the city of BARROW, including BARROW, which means place to play. There is a great basketball court there, sauna, exercise equipment, and a rock climbing wall. The city also manages a covered ice hockey rink and an indoor roller rink as part of its commitment to help people get and stay healthy. Still, unless the weather is just too severe, you'll find BARROW residents also playing and working outside.
You almost did it too! Okay, they got one! Whoa! Hurry! Hurry! He's coming! You gotta take him with the ball! Ah!
In BARROW, we can shop in stores with a good selection of the types of groceries most Americans eat all the time. But we also love and need our native foods that are healthy and easier for our people, especially the elders, to digest. We work hard to catch and prepare native foods. Subsistence hunting and gathering is an ancient and healthy tradition. But another reason we rely on less convenient native foods is because groceries at the market are a lot more expensive here than they are in the lower 48, or even Fairbanks and Anchorage. Like letters or packages, building materials, vehicles, and all other types of equipment and supplies and groceries must be flown to BARROW or transported on barges that comes in when the ice is away from shore in the summer and early fall. Still, many visitors and residents go to the markets for food, staples, gifts, and to buy handmade crafts. Businesses including Stockbook, which means big store in Inupiaq, sell locally made clothing and crafts on consignment for the benefit of the community.
I wear necklaces with walrus whiskers.
The baleen was mainly from my grandpa. He's a whaling captain. So that's where I get my baleen, but when people see my artwork and when they really see that they really like what I did, that's what basically inspires me to keep doing more. This is the Eskimo Man, and I started using the Dremel, digging it out on the sides right here, and then I started working on the face. Started digging it in right here and left this part a little bit out so it could give the shape of the nose, and same with the eyes. And after I was done carving the whole face out and putting the lines in and everything, then I sanded this too. After I was done sanding it, I got some paint, acrylic paint, painted the hair and the eyes and the mustache and the chin. First I drew this out, the piece of the whale. And then after I drew it out, I got a Dremel and cut it out of the baleen. And then after that, I had sanded the whole thing all the way down to a fine piece of grit of sandpaper. And then I polished it. After I was done polishing this to get this shiny stuff on here, I started scrimming on it, the mouth and the white part of the chin, the nose, the flipper right here, and the little white part right here. And that's basically how I did it. Used a scrim tool for the drawing on there. And that's how I got the whale. When they're done, it feels pretty good.
The Inupiaq Heritage Center houses a fine museum, historical photos, and collected knowledge of our past and present.
And then our hospital here provides medical correction for all of these buildings. So, yeah, their medevac services are provided from another budget, so we don't regularly provide.
Of course, Inupiaq Heritage Center staff members answer questions and can provide important information about community resources and activities. Whaling crews use designated work areas to make boats. Dancers perform for guests and enjoy traditional native foods, usually served potluck style, and provided by members of the community. Local artists use space at the Inupiaq Heritage Center to create items that may be found in the Heritage Center gift shop or at one of the many small businesses in Barrow, including hotels, local restaurants, and stores.
We love to Eskimo dance. We tell stories of all kinds by doing what we call motion dances. Mittens with decorative ivory pieces that hang and make noise enhance the story of the dances. Mittens with what we call designer skins represent animals of the Arctic. We also wear mittens when we dance to keep the spirit of the song within. We Inupiaq love to celebrate life with singing and dancing.
We can recall what stories are behind each and every song. But they always say that each song has some story behind it. The beats are sometimes uncertain, but the people that dance them know what the motion dances are. And also those have stories behind them, but we have forgotten most of the songs, the stories behind the songs that we sing.
We cancel singing and dancing when there has been a death in a North Slope community. We do not sing, beat the drum, or dance so that we give the family ample time to grieve and bury their loved one. We also don't dance on Wednesdays or Sundays to show our respect for the religion that was introduced when missionaries came to Alaska and to Barrow. The biggest traditional special occasions for celebrations are Nalukadak and Kiviak, the messenger feast, when other dance groups, whaling captains and their wives, whalers, hunters, and artists skilled in many crafts are invited to attend Kiviak for bartering and to unite and keep the family kinships strong. We celebrate this event every 2 years if the hunting year has been bountiful. The traditions of Kiviak has been an important way for centuries to bring people together to share the bounty from the land and from the sea. We also hold contemporary Inupiaq dance to celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the New Year. We dance to welcome visitors, to say goodbye to those who made a difference in our communities, for social events, and for entertainment during the long, cold winter months.
When it is time for dancing, a group will start with invitational songs and dances to give people time to limber up and get the spirit of dancing. The motion dance songs depict actions of animals, birds, and fish, hunting skills, skills of learning, stories of our encounters, stories of first encounters, and stories about various other events we like to remember. After the traditional dances, some are just for fun after that. Invitational fun dancing is open to all who have the spirit for dancing and want to share their skill in showing happiness. The men make a fist and move their arms and body vigorously at the same time, stomping one foot or both feet on the floor to the beat of the drum. Women move their arms and neck, depicting the mother eagle's movement gracefully to and fro, all the while moving their knees in rhythm to the beat of the drum, standing still or moving to and fro with the beat, always looking down as if looking for prey.
Your chair's gone.
Though jobs in management, administration, healthcare, emergency services, science education, and so on are critical to life in Barrow and the North Slope in today's world, our dancers, drummers, artists, and craft makers, old and young, preserve and tell the tales of our culture. The Inupiaq Heritage Center is often the place where stories are passed on to the next generation and to visitors and students curious about our history. Though Thomas Coates is best known as a carver of walrus ivory, he does some work with old bone, baleen, and other materials as well.
Yes, quite a few people taught me things here and there, how to cut, how to look at the ivory. Each person keeps working at their pace and all that, they eventually get better at what I've been carving since 1982, 83. Yes, I did like a sea animal totem, like bunch of sea animals, bowhead whales, walrus, polar bears, seals, fish, and occasionally put a duck on there. It's all one piece and they're all intertwined together, and try to make them like this, like three-dimensional or a whole carving. That's one that we really got to concentrate and figure out what you're going to do with that piece. And then eventually I practiced at it, and then I made a ivory chain link necklace out of one piece. The first thing you would need to do if you wanted to make a piece, a figurine, is to select the animal that you want to carve. And you select a piece of ivory, how big or how small you want it. And then the picture of that animal you want to carve out, you sort of transfer it into the ivory, the size and all that with your mind. And then draw with a pencil where the ivory that you're not going to cut out, you do the outline. And from the outline you cut out the roughly the shape of that animal. It's part, a little bit over, like this, and cut at an angle. Oh, this is one piece of ivory, all one piece. I make a little cut here with a hacksaw, a little cut here, and cut this way a couple of times, one this way and one up a little bit. After you cut all those out, you start rounding it out this way, all the way around. You look at it, and then you visualize how they are. There's a lot of owls out there. Life is pretty hard up here once in a while, or it's what you make of it. I try to use all the resources here from the North Slope to do my artwork. And if anybody wanted to try and get into artwork, they just start doing it. Make small stuff, earrings, stuff like that, figurines. They'll eventually get better at it over the years. Going out hunting, looking at the animals. That's pretty much staying out in the wild, watching all the animals move, birds, what they do.
Compared to the other villages of the North Slope, the transportation hub of BARROW is a big city. It is the home of the Arctic Slope Regional Corporation, Inupiaq College, BARROW Arctic Research Center, and other important entities. Still, when our people decide to go off slope, as we say, life in other places, especially the lower 48, can be intimidating. Before the creation of Inupiaq College, which is located in BARROW, multidisciplined artist Rainey Higby discovered herself and the warm feeling of renewed pride in her culture while attending college in California, thousands of miles from home.
I went to college in Humboldt State University, and I was actually there to become a marine biologist. In fact, I think I have about 2 or 3 courses before I get my bachelor's degree in marine biology, my BS. But I got to my last semester in marine biology, and my advisor even asked me, "What are you doing in science?" And I was like, I don't know, because I love science. I mean, I just really love animals, and I love this the environment, totally in love with, and like the ocean and the environment, that kind of thing. But I don't have the temperament for it. I wanted to go into philosophy, but my dad just like freaked out. He's like, "What are you going to do with a philosophy degree?" And you're taking all these art courses, which I had. I'd taken a lot of art courses just to keep me sane while I was doing the science part. I was like, oh, I might as well get a degree in studio art. And at the time, they didn't allow students to have multiple disciplines within studio art. Usually you focus on painting, and I lucked out and got a really nice advisor and drove him completely insane because I was like, I want to do all of them. I want to get to advanced courses in drawing, painting, metalsmithing. I keep everything. I have sketchbooks that I've had since I started seriously getting into art. And one of the things I noticed was this change. When I first went to California, I was kind of ashamed of my culture. It sounds really bad when I just say it like that. But I didn't really want anybody to know of my culture because it was kind of like you watch TV and you see people in California, they're skinny, blonde, blue-eyed, tan, and they all wear bikinis. But, of course I ended up in where all the hippies hang out. But I had that picture of what it was like in the lower 48. And this is coming straight from a village. Because I have a lot of family friends that are anthropologists, and they're just really cool people. But I took this anthropology course, and my instructor actually found out, we wrote a paper, and she found out where I was from. So she told me that if I did a presentation to the class for 2 days, it was a 2-day presentation, then I would pass the class, A+. And I wouldn't basically have to do anything else. And I was like, that's a good deal. So we sat down and figured out how to talk about names, our Inupiaq names, and how it's kind of like the Utuk, how you have the same chunk of soul, basically. You're related to somebody that has the same name. And so I talked about that and whaling for 2 days, because I was on a whaling crew up in Point Hope. Found out that everybody thought my culture was cool, unique, different, made a lot of good friends. And then it started showing up, little by little, just little things. And it just became this kind of flavor of surreal kind of Inupiaq culture kind of melded together. And it's really just kind of a history of my own thought process, finding my own self-image, I guess you call it. It's still happening. It's never going to end kind of thing.
Rainey says her father raised her to believe in herself and that there were no limits, that she could do whatever she wanted to do. Since she finished school, Rainey has taught classes and continues to study things about her home that inspire her. She loves the textures of the tundra and is enchanted by the skin patterns of the various seal species that live in Arctic waters. Her work reflects her feelings about her homeland. Like other creative sons and daughters, Rainey Higbee is proud of her continuing artistic exploration and proud to be Inupiaq. When our artists create traditional arts and crafts for serious use or for pleasure, when we can see old photographs and look at all the exhibits of ancient collections at the Inupiaq Heritage Center, or spend time there or in other places in the village creating and dancing to the heartbeat rhythm of traditional drums, we feel the lifeblood of our history, our achievements, and our culture. That flowing energy is the sound of our ancestors. To the beat of the drums, dancers tell stories and legends. Imagination and the teachings of our elders and artists help us write new ones. Here in the Arctic on Alaska's North Slope, as we continue to thrive in the modern world, our people have many more stories, many more proud tales to tell.
It's not that we don't like penguins. It is just that penguins don't live in the Arctic. They live on the other side of the Earth in Antarctica. Those commercials showing penguins and polar bears together are the result of made-up TV magic. Many people grow up hearing that Eskimos kiss by rubbing noses. It is a nice myth, but we don't know how that story became known around the world. We just kiss like everyone else. Barrow lies 330 miles above the Arctic Circle at the very top of Alaska, just 1,100 miles from the North Pole. No trees grow above the Arctic Circle. During the brief summers, the land is covered with tundra. Tundra landscape is over permafrost, which is permanently frozen subsoil but supports low-growing vegetation such as berries, lichens, mosses, grasses, and short shrubs. Our ancestors used to build snow igloos when they traveled, but most of the time they lived in semi-underground sod homes built into the permafrost. Igloos were supported with whalebone and driftwood. The word for house in Inupiaq is igloo. It means any kind of dwelling, not specifically one made of snow and ice. Igloos were heated with seal oil lamps. Because there are no trees here, it is easy to spot many of the nearly 200 species of birds that travel all the way to the Arctic to nest and raise their young before heading out south for winter. Barrow is famous for its snowy owls. Unless the temperature drops to about 40 below or so, and the wind chill becomes extra dangerous, kids in Barrow and across the North Slope go to school. We dress properly for the weather. Closing schools because of snow or wind is quite rare. Like other kids across the United States, we play basketball, go camping, play on the playgrounds, roller skate, and do other activities. We love to Eskimo dance, and we have traditional games that require skill and feats of strength. Some kids participate in Eskimo games at Christmas or enter the Eskimo Olympics that are held in other parts of Alaska. Lots of people in Barrow help prepare for whaling and other hunting seasons because we depend on traditional foods and prefer them to many modern foods that have a lot of chemicals in them. Preparing native foods, sharing them with the community, and celebrating safe and successful hunts are traditions thousands of years old. Foods like pizza, steak, milk, and eggs are available at local stores and restaurants, but they must be flown to Barrow and the other North Slope villages or shipped up on barges when the ice is away from the shore in summer. It is the same for mail and supplies for office work, schools, healthcare, and construction. Cars and trucks have to be transported to Barrow too. There is no road leading to the rest of Alaska, and there are no farms, ranches, or gardens in the Arctic. Though modern food is shipped in, the Inupiaq have always survived on food from the sea and some plants that grow on the tundra during the short summers, like blueberries and cloudberries. Our great-grandparents depended on teams of sled dogs, but today in Barrow and across Alaska's North Slope, we drive trucks, cars, ATVs, and snow machines. Some people still have sled dogs for enjoyment and even give rides to tourists. In late November, the sun slips below the horizon and doesn't come up again until the middle of January. A lot of people think we have 6 months of darkness, but that's not true. It's not completely dark all day when the sun is down. During daytime hours, a little bit of light peeks around the curvature of the Earth. Above the Arctic Circle, beginning in mid-May, the sun is up for 84 days in a row. Alaska is one of the 50 United States. It became the 49th state in 1959. People from many backgrounds live in Barrow these days. We use the same postage stamps that everyone else in the USA uses. We get cable and satellite TV and have high-speed internet access.